We'll go ahead and start today's meeting. It is Tuesday, June 22nd, 2021, and it is 9:31. Erica, could we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Henry,
Here.
Commissioner Tedesco,
Here.
Commissioner Pinter,
Here.
Commissioner Odoricio,
I'm here.
Commissioner Baca.
Here. All right, thank you. If we could go ahead and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, next is a motion to approve the agenda. Commissioners, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Erica, if we could have the vote.
Look how quick it is today.
You spoke too
Commissioner
soon.
Odoricio,
Commissioner Odoricio.
Jeez.
It would have been quick. It would have been quick.
I'm voting no next time.
All right. Thank you. Okay, next is the motion to approve the agenda. And today we have something that's not on the agenda, unfortunately, and I'm going to turn that over to Commissioner Odoricio.
Thank you, Madam Chair. While it's not on the agenda, we would like to take a moment to recognize and honor fallen Arvada police officer Gordon Beasley. Officer Beasley served in Arvada police force for over 19 years in both the community and as a school resource officer at Oberon Middle School. Sadly, his service came to a tragic end yesterday in a shooting in Old Town Arvada. We want to thank Officer Beasley for nearly 2 decades of service, keeping watch over thousands of students and families in our community. And so we stand today with the Arvada community and stand with Arvada as you work to unfold the events of yesterday in the coming days and weeks. Unfortunately, we know too well the grief and the anguish that the community is experiencing at this moment. And so our hearts go out to the Beasley family, to the city and the residents of Arvada, and the entire community. We'd also like to take a moment to thank all of our law enforcement officers and first responders who selflessly risk their lives every day to protect the lives of our families. So at this moment, I would ask for a moment of silence.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Odoricio. Any comments from any of the other commissioners? Commissioner Tedesco?
Madam Chair, I just want to say thank you to this board and to you as the chair for reaching out to the city of Arvada and offering our services and anything that we can do. We greatly appreciate your leadership in this and your willingness to bring us, to the forefront and be there for the families and the constituents that we have shared with the city of Arvada. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Thank you. Any other commissioners? Okay, I don't see any. All right, our next awards and presentations is the recognition of Pride Month. Commissioner Pinter, would you like to?
Yeah, thank you. It is a solemn morning, and thank you, Commissioner Odoricio, for reading those words of recognition of Officer Beasley. We also had previously scheduled this to be our public hearing where we honor Pride Month. As you might have noticed, we have some banners and some celebration up around, but often our community members in the LGBTQ community will remind us about the loss of life in the Pride community and the LGBTQ community as well. And in fact, it was just in 2016, June 12th, that we had a shooting at Pulse nightclub where people out celebrating Pride were attacked, and it feels like too often and too many years that we're having these remembrances. So while we celebrate Pride and we are celebrating those in our community, we are also reflective of the reason we have these events and the reason we have these remembrances. In Denver, as well as the other metro area cities, they're hosting many Pride festivities throughout the entire month of June. You may have gone to some. I visited our neighbors in Broomfield for their event this past weekend. Everything from a virtual Pride parade to a 5K fundraiser, all to celebrate LGBTQ heritage and culture. This month in Adams, while we celebrate the LGBTQ community, we can't forget this community still often faces biases and harsh judgment, especially our LGBTQ youth. Many youth live in unwelcoming environments and do not feel safe at school and are harassed based on their gender identity and expression. These unbearable circumstances often lead to higher alcohol, drug use, and higher suicide and attempted suicide rates. So in support of Pride Month, County Manager Raymond Gonzalez has painted Pride crosswalks at several county buildings with the rainbow flag colors. You probably have seen them when you came in this morning to this building. County leadership also supports the incredible work of our A Proud committee in the creation of affinity groups for our LGBTQ employees and too many efforts to name within the A Proud group within Adams County supporting our LGBTQ employees and their families. Our Child and Family Service Division has been recognized with the Human Rights Campaign seals You Are Welcome Here, which certifies the department as an LGBTQ welcoming and affirming agency, and the Recognized Innovator in Supporting and Serving LGBTQ Youth and Families seal. It's my understanding we were the first in Colorado to receive these when we received them 2 years ago, which is still a point of pride. With the county vision in mind to be the most innovative and inclusive county in America for all families and businesses, we are committed to equity and equality, erasing bias, inclusivity, and access for our employees and for all those we serve. Do any of my commissioner colleagues have any remarks?
Commissioners, any remarks? All right, I don't see any. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Pinter. All right, next is public comment. Erica, do we have anyone signed up for public comment other than for land use?
We do not.
Okay, great, thank you. Election official communications, Commissioner Tedesco.
Madam Chair, I know that we had some solemn moments this morning, and I did want to bring a bit of brightness to everybody's day. I want to congratulate Foster Source. Foster Source is one of our invaluable partners that works with foster families, providing resources and valuable information and training throughout Adams County. They are turning 5. They've been with us for 5 years now. It's their birthday week, not a birthday month, but a birthday week. We're gradually going to get to that birthday month. But we want to celebrate their birthday. They are having an open house tomorrow at the Pete Morelos Human Services Center from 10 to 4. And I would invite anyone who has any interest in what they do or how they do it or how to donate and help with their cause, please either go to that open house between 10 and 4 tomorrow at the Pete Morelos Human Services Center, or you can go online to fostersource.org and you can donate directly to the agency themselves. And again, I just want to say happy birthday to Renee and Brian Barnard and Foster Source. They are truly a great resource in Adams County. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other commissioners would like to speak? Great. So for me and my birthday, I have a birthday month, but it took 60 years to get there. Just saying. Once you get 30 twice, you deserve a whole month. I have a little bit of good news, too, as we finally did our ribbon cutting for our animal shelter. I want to congratulate the entire staff, because there's so many people here in this room that had a little bit to do with that new building that we have for the Riverdale Animal Shelter. And it's an amazing, I encourage anybody who is listening, or most of the staff is here, we have very few actual people in the audience, to actually take a tour of the shelter and maybe take home a kitty or a bunny or a dog, because it's kind of hard to leave without one. So I want to thank the staff and the leadership for getting us there. So thank you so much. All right, next is the consent calendar. Do I have a motion for the consent calendar? Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay.
I voted first.
Much faster than last time. Good job.
Good job. We should have a little pot of gold stars.
Yeah, yeah. All right, County Manager, what do you have for us?
Good morning, Commissioners. The first item before you is a resolution approving Amendment 1 to the agreement between Adams County and Shiloh Home, Inc. to provide family team meeting services. And I believe Nadia Varela from our Human Services Department will be presenting this item.
Good morning, Commissioners. It's so nice to be in person again. It's nice seeing you all. The Children and Family Services Division is requesting funding be added to the contract with Shiloh Home for family team meeting services. This service is a family-centered meeting that brings the family and the department together to increase family engagement and involvement regarding the child protection safety issues that led to an open case. The Children and Family Services Division is requesting $7,600 be added to the contract with Shiloh House. This agreement is funded 80% through core funding and a 20% county match.
Okay, Commissioners, do you have any questions? I don't see any questions.
Yep,
Do we
I
have
have a
oh,
question.
do you? It didn't show up.
Oh, it didn't?
No. Am I like
Show up on mine.
Yeah, you have to go
Oh,
on the
yeah.
floor.
on the floor? Oh, well, I did remind everybody I am 60, right? I'm playing the old card.
Wow, so it
The
works
old
both
lady
ways.
card.
It works both ways. Yeah, okay.
All right, do I have a motion?
I do have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Question.
And I know that our staff is working on this. I haven't had a chance to connect with our county manager, particularly because it's Pride Month and we did our Pride Proclamation. Do you have any information about whether or not these services provided by Shiloh are LGBTQ affirming, and if they do any training for their staff to help families who come with different family structures?
Our Human Services Director would like to respond. Nadia, if you're okay with that. Okay, great.
The backup is coming.
Commissioners, this is Katie Grego from our Human Services.
Commissioners, yes, Shiloh House does have affirming LGBTQ services, and in addition, an update is we are still moving forward to make sure that we have the language added to all of our RFPs and contracts going forward.
Thank you.
All right,
I'd be happy to make the motion. I
Okay.
move to approve.
do I have a second? All right. Okay, passed. Thank you.
Great, thank you. The next item before you is a resolution approving Amendment 1 to the agreement between Adams County and the Guadalupe Project to provide life skills services. And Nadia Varela from our Human Services Department will be presenting this second item.
Thank you. The Children and Family Services is requesting funding be added to the contract with Guadalupe Project for life skills services. The Guadalupe Project provides services provided primarily in the home that teach household management, effectively accessing community resources, parenting techniques, and family conflict management. The Children and Family Services Division is requesting $25,000 be added to the contract with Guadalupe Project. This agreement is funded 80% through core funding and a 20% Adams County match.
Hey, Commissioners, any question? I see no questions. Do we have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that 21-512 be accepted as read.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, it's passed. Thank you.
The next item is a resolution approving Amendment 1 to the agreement between Adams County and Shiloh Home, Inc. to provide guaranteed beds. And again, Nadia Varela from our Human Services Department will be presenting this item.
Thank you. Shiloh Home, Inc. provides guaranteed beds, shelter, and residential care of children and youth within Adams County. Shiloh Home, Inc. also provides emergency shelter for children in crisis, as well as residential facility for children needing long-term treatment. The original contract for 28 guaranteed beds was approved by the Board of County Commissioners in 2019. It was determined that the 28 guaranteed beds are no longer required, and Shiloh Home, Inc. agreed to decrease the number of guaranteed beds from 28 to 8 beds. The Children and Family Services Division would like to decrease the current contract amount of $1,798,798 to $668,884.40.
A lot of numbers. Do we have any questions? Commissioner Tedesco.
Madam Chair, thank you very much. I know that we just went through the pandemic year with not a lot of in-home contacts. Are we prematurely dropping the numbers?
That is a great question. I believe the drop in numbers has to do with us moving forward with the Family First Prevention Services Act that will be implemented October 1st. And so I think we're hopeful that we can start transitioning children who might be in one of these placements to kinship care or back home with intensive services.
So again, my question would be, are we prematurely dropping services? And the reason I ask is there a cost to having the 28 beds for another year to see what the usage rate would be? Or is it a cost savings to drop it to 8? If they're not being used, are we still being charged for those beds? Because I'd much rather have the availability and not have the usage if we don't have a change in the overall cost.
County Manager.
Yes, Commissioners. Commissioner Tedesco, that is an excellent question, and my recommendation would be for us to work on that question and addressing that question with Shiloh. So if there's not an urgency, can we delay this to next Tuesday if possible?
I'm just trying to understand the...
I don't know that we could answer your question today.
That's fine.
Okay.
I just want to give you some background
Yeah.
and say, I'm trying to understand the need for dropping off from 28 to 8. Is that being guaranteed to other jurisdictions? Is it being guaranteed? Is Shiloh House requesting that because they need it for another agency? And I'm curious as to why that would be, as their numbers are going up, why our numbers wouldn't be going up as well.
Great question, and I believe Katie is going as my lifeline, so we'll see if she can help.
You're allowed one lifeline.
And again, I don't need an answer today. I've
Yeah.
if there's no rush on this, if we could get more,
Yeah.
I'd much rather go another year when we're back in full swing, everybody's out, everybody's doing their thing, we're back into kind of the normalcy of what we were in 2019, then drop the numbers based on what we saw in a pandemic year, and then have the need to come back and readjust again.
Good morning, Commissioners. Katie Griego. Thanks for having me back. I'm going to try to be a lifeline, but if we need to come back with more information, we're happy to do that as well. We've actually looked at the data over a couple of years, so it's not just the particular pandemic and what we saw in terms of reduction of potentially needing residential care for that. As Nadia mentioned, we're really changing the way in which we are serving families and youth. So the use of residential care is going to reduce over time. Placement in homes or placement with family is going to increase over time. So what we're seeing and working in partnership with Shiloh is needing to increase services as the previous contract amendment that you approved, but reduce the amount of actual residential beds. So that's something that we've trended over about 3 to 4 years in terms of determining the reduction in partnership with Shiloh. But we can certainly come back and provide more of that information in detail if that would be helpful.
Commissioner Tedesco, would you like us to come back next week?
I'd appreciate it coming back, because that raises even more questions. I believe that the contract was signed in 2019, and yet you're stating 3 to 4 years of information. I'm trying to figure out how that
Absolutely. And
plays
again, it's
together. So,
shift in the way that we're providing services.
Right.
So we can definitely model that.
Can you answer this question, though, and maybe this will help? Is there a cost for keeping the 28 number rather than dropping to the 8, or is it?
So it's not necessarily the cost, because we do pay it as the services are provided. What it does do, though, is free up funds to be contributed to other services. So what it would do is allow for us to do some more of the intensive family in-home services with those federal funds that wouldn't be allowable if they're tied up within this particular contract.
Okay, that makes more sense. Thank you
Commissioner
very much.
Pinter, you have a question?
Yeah, this is something that we've discussed at length. I serve on the State Child Welfare Allocation Committee, and the impending federal Family First legislation that is now taking effect finally in October, been talking about for so many years, really is going to change the child care structure and really penalizes our ability to recoup funds when we have multiple residential placements for a child, which makes sense because multiple residential placements for a child is harmful to the child. And so the ability to provide kinship care and other cares that are more welcoming and affirming and stable for the child is what's encouraged strongly and financially by the Family First Act from the federal government. So if when you come back, if you could describe what Family First is, I happen to know what it is, but I think that's because I serve on the Child Welfare Allocation Committee, and we've talked about these funding streams for a really long time. So I would defer to my colleagues on going another week or voting today and just getting a study session on Family First or whatever. I defer to the wish of the group.
So why don't we go ahead and table it until next week? And then County Manager, if you could, it's been a while since we've had Human Services into our study sessions to find out about programs like Family First. It would be great to have some updates on
Great.
what our largest department in the county does.
We would be more than happy to bring that forward.
That would be
And
great.
we miss you.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so do we need to do a motion in regards to that, or?
I don't believe so. You can just say we're going to continue this matter till our
Okay,
next
we'll
meeting.
just go ahead and continue.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next item before you is a resolution approving Amendment 2 to an agreement between Adams County and J-Core Mechanical, Inc. for water heater replacement at the detention facility. And our Director of Fleet and Facilities, Mike Holub, will be presenting this item.
Morning, Commissioners. In 2019, Facilities and Fleet Management staff recognized the need to replace the water heaters at the detention facility. In April of 2020, J-Core Mechanical Incorporated was awarded an agreement to replace the water heaters in modules A through E and the kitchen. In March of this year, purchasing solicited for water heater replacements in F module and the laundry, which would complete this project. A pre-bid walk was conducted on May 11th. 2 vendors attended the bid walk, but J-Core Mechanical was the only vendor that supplied a proposal. J-Core Mechanical Incorporated has been extremely responsive to the needs of Adams County, and pricing for this addendum aligns with pricing in their original agreement. Funding for this project was approved in the 2021 budget, and the equipment upgrades are supported in the 2030 sustainability plan. Facilities and Fleet Management recommends approval of Addendum 2 with J-Core Mechanical for F module and laundry water heater replacement in the not-to-exceed amount of $765,117. This brings the total value of the agreement with J-Core to $1,467,262.40. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Tedesco?
I just have a question. What type of water heaters are we talking about?
These are the domestic water heaters that provide all the domestic water for showering, laundry, everything within the
Are
jail.
they tankless? So are they?
The water heaters themselves are tankless, but we do have large storage tanks in the mechanical rooms just to supply the volume to the different modules.
So just to be clear for our people who are wondering why it's costing $700,000 for a water heater, it's not like your water heater that you have in your house. So, and I would ask, was the consideration made for on-demand water heaters in certain areas for more efficiency?
Yes. So this is going to be a little bit difficult to explain, but they are on demand that actually fill a storage tank.
Right. Yep. Thank you. I understand, but,
Okay.
so, I just wanted to make that clear and kind of cleared up, because I didn't see it in the packet, so that's why I wanted to
That's
ask.
a good question.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions, Commissioners? All right, do we have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Do we have a second?
Thank you.
It's been approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. The last item before you is a resolution approving Amendment 1 to the agreement between Adams County and Design Workshop for Comprehensive Master Plan Updates. And Libby Tart from our Community and Economic Development Department will be presenting this item.
Everybody, can you hear me? Good morning, Chair Henry and Commissioners. I'm here requesting your approval of a Budget Amendment 1 for the Advancing Adams campaign, or as it reads, the Comprehensive Master Plan Updates. And these two add-ons include additional outreach to diverse organizations and 5 additional focus group meetings, items that were particularly valuable during our Phase 1 of Advancing Adams and were not scoped for the Phase 2 portion of the campaign. In addition to the add-ons, a contingency is proposed for Design Workshop to address any additional comments from the 90 to 100% drafts that are proposed for each report. And the total of all of these add-ons is $17,400. This is a 2.3% add-on to the overall budget of $741,555 from last year. For a total contract cost of $758,955. I'm happy to take any questions, and thank you so much for your time.
Commissioners, do you have any questions? I don't see any questions. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve. Thank you, Chair.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, the motion passed. Thank you.
very much.
All right, anything else, County Manager?
There are no other items. Thank you.
Sure. County Attorney, do you have anything for us today?
I do. Commissioners, I would ask that as time allows today, we go into executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute 246402 4B and E for the purpose of receiving legal advice and instructing negotiators regarding the Aguirre Rodriguez claim.
All right, do we have questions, Commissioners? Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have land use next, so we'll go ahead and take a 10-minute break so staff has time to set up, and we'll see everybody at 10 after 10. Who's up, and what do we got?
Good morning, Commissioners. We only have one land use case today, and that is for the Mustang Kaiser Water Storage Pond. It's case number RCU 2020-00040. And what this is it's an amendment to an already approved conditional use permit. That conditional use permit allowed excavation in the A3 zone district. I'll talk a little bit more about the background, but first I wanted to get into where this site is located. So the site is located just to the east of the intersection of Monaghan and East 26th Avenue. It's south of Denver International Airport and just north of I-70. A closer view of the site shows there's no development in the area. The surrounding area is all undeveloped, and the conditional use permit is only on the southern 2/3 of the parcel in question. The site is zoned agricultural 3, and this is intended for large land holdings of 35 acres or more. As you can see, this property is completely surrounded by the city of Aurora. The city of Aurora, I wanted to talk a little bit about their zoning since it's surrounded. The surrounding areas are all zoned Airport District, or AD, and that's intended to be employment opportunities, light manufacturing, and areas that support the airport use. If this site were to be annexed into the city of Aurora, it's very likely that it would be zoned Airport District. That zone district in Aurora is very consistent with the county's long-term comprehensive plan. Our future land use designation is mixed-use employment, which is similar in scope. All right. So let's talk about the background. So in 2019, the city of Aurora approved the Mustang Booster compressor station in their jurisdiction on a different property that's located to the southwest of this site. And in their approval, they required landscape berms to help screen from that compressor station. And so the applicant in 2020 applied for a conditional use permit to excavate soil from this site in unincorporated Adams County and transport it to the neighboring property to create those landscape berms. The excavation and the transport would happen through private property, not on public roadways. So that conditional use permit was heard before this board in July of last year and was approved. And at that time and at that hearing, the applicant indicated that the site would be regraded and restored to agriculture. Later last year, the applicant indicated that they no longer wish to restore it to agriculture, but would use it for a water storage pond. That constitutes a major amendment to that conditional use permit because it's different than what was presented to the board and to the public. And so the application is an amendment to the excavation conditional use permit for an end use to allow for water storage pond on the property. So when reviewing an amendment to a conditional use permit, we want to ensure that the criteria for approval of that permit still applies. And that criteria is found in our development standards and includes whether the use is appropriate for the zone district, if it's consistent with both the purpose of our standards as well as complying with any specific performance standards for the use. We're looking for harmony and compatibility of the surrounding area, then any off-site impacts are mitigated or addressed, that the site is suitable for the use, the site plan has adequate space to support the use, and services are available to support the use. There's not a lot of change here, but I did want to show a before and after of the site plan. So the original site plan is shown at the top, and the applicant did intend to grade that out to a flat grade in the end, and now the applicant is proposing a different grade to allow for water storage pond and associated equipment. A few pictures of the site to show you what it looks like. As I mentioned, there's very, very little development in this area. You can see some buildings off into the background. These are probably the closest buildings located to the south toward I-70. This is looking to the west along 26th Avenue and the east along 26th Avenue. During the referral period, we sent it to several agencies. Some of them responded but had no concerns or just operational conditions. During the referral, we also sent it to all property owners and residents within a half mile. We sent 5 notices. We did receive 1 comment initially, just with concerns about how this would impact the neighboring property, and that property owner did not want any trespassing on their property. We had the applicant respond to those comments, and after a couple of rounds of responding, that person no longer identified any concerns. So staff is recommending that the board approve this application because it is consistent with the zone district standards. They have identified they can mitigate any off-site impacts, and it is generally compatible with the area as there is no surrounding development. The Planning Commission heard this case on May 27th. The applicant had no objection to the report or the presentation, and the Planning Commission also voted 6-0 to recommend approval. So that's the recommendation before you, and the applicant is available if you have any specific questions about the water storage pond.
Commissioner Tedesco?
I just have questions for staff. What's the end use of the water with no residential and really no business out there? One, my question would be, what's the end use of the water? What is the pond's intention? Who's it servicing? And 2, where's the water coming from? Is it a well pumped into it? Or is it runoff? Is it, I'm just trying to figure out those 2 questions because I think I need to know more about why. I know that we would have probably permitted this even back then when they came to us for the original, but I'm just trying to understand what the intention of the pond now is.
Certainly. I can have the applicant address that, but it's my understanding that it's related to the oil and gas industry, and the water would be piped in. It would be fresh water. And I can have the applicant speak a little bit further about that.
Hi, County Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. My name is Courtney Cudlip. I'm with Crestone Peak Resources. We are the applicant for this major amendment to our conditional use permit for the Kaiser Water Storage Pond. As staff mentioned, we are an oil and gas operator in the area. We do have an operating agreement with and comply with all the Adams County rules. The water storage pond is going to be a mix of groundwater that's pumped to location as well as surface water. There are 4 primary sources. One would be coming from the north around the Bar Lake area. The second is there is a local farmer that we purchase water from properly decreed water wells. And then in addition, we are currently actively boring under I-70. And so this also would be a water storage pond for water that we procure from the city of Aurora in order to support our development within Aurora north of the freeway.
Okay. Commissioners, do you have any questions? Commissioner Tedesco?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a question of reuse of the water. I know that you're using it for your water for your oil purposes, right? I'm trying to understand, is there any recirculation of water, or is it, how are you getting it out of there? Is it being piped? Is it being trucked?
Yep. So after the development, all of the water coming from this location will be conveyed via either above ground temporary lay flat or via a permanent pipeline that will go along 26 and then down south to our I-70 bore. There'll be minimal truck traffic. All of the truck traffic going to this location will be limited to light duty trucks after the completion of the project. So from a use perspective, we're not talking about a lot of tankers or trucks. After the water is pumped down whole in our completions operations, it becomes produced water, and so at that point we actually truck it from the end location to a permitted disposal well.
And then I apologize if.
No, you're fine.
I guess my last question would be, what is the end use of the pond? Is there a time specific for the use of the pond, and what is the end use of the pond? Once you're done with your facility, what happens to the pond?
Yep. So at the end of our development in this area, the plans for Crestone would be to reclaim the land per the additional or the original conditional use permit, unless there's beneficial use to another public utility or Adams County that would want to take over ownership at that point.
Okay. Any other questions, commissioners?
Yeah, I think I have another one.
Okay,
go for
Commissioner Commissioner Baca.
Thank you, Chair. So what is the duration of use? How long?
We estimate it to be around 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
Commissioner Tedesco?
And, you know, the application takes into consideration the impact to the surrounding area with a pond of this nature, the acreage of water that you're using, and storm runoff and all of that, and the contingency for overfilling and all of that, right?
Correct.
You know that-
And we have our technical representative if there's additional questions, but there is additional freeboard in case there's a stormwater event. The First Amendment to the CUP does have B&Ps for stormwater management, as well as the routine inspections that will be ongoing. The selection of the site is to be out of a 100-year floodplain, so we can minimize any sort of risk.
And I think this is outside of the Mile High Flood District boundary, right?
Just to the north in the site plan, there is a FEMA 100-year floodplain, but this is 100% outside of any floodplain, either Mile High or FEMA.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioners, any other questions? All right, I don't see any. Thank you. Erica, do we have anyone signed up from the public to speak on this matter?
I do not.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, Commissioners, any other comments or questions? I don't see any. Do I have a motion? Go ahead, Commissioner. Yeah, you got to do more than just push a
Is it
button.
not showing up on here?
Yeah, it shows, but
Oh,
you have
oh.
to, read it.
So, Madam Chair, I'll move for approval of 21-446 RCU 2020-40 Mustang Station Kaiser Water Storage Project as presented. Oh, wait, 8 findings of facts, 12 conditions, and 1 note.
Correct.
Second.
All right.
I was looking at the wrong screen.
We all are. All right, it's been approved, thank you. It's been approved, thank you. Okay, with that, is there anything else? I believe there isn't. So we'll go ahead and adjourn, and we'll meet down the hall in 10 minutes.